Well, hey guys, it's been a minute or two. I mean, shit. I had to fly all the way down to Chicago to hang out with this guy right here. And then we drove down to fucking Indiana, whatever the hell the shit show was down there. But
how dare you disrespect the great city of Fort Wayne?
Yeah, that's what it was called.
Fort Wayne.
Yeah, Mikey and I decided to crash the Better conference, and I'm sure you guys probably saw all the bazillion pictures I put out there, and met some folks I hadn't met yet in one of these things. So that was kind of cool. But anyways, enough of that crap. Anyways, today we are, yeah. Thanks, Stephanie. We are here with Jen, who is our guest today. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, well, let's not get carried away. You may be disappointed. No, I'm kidding.
Right. I don't know about that.
We try to do our best here. Now, you're fairly recently out of the faith, correct?
2018. So a couple of years.
Okay. For some stupid reason, probably because I'm a moron, I thought it was a little less time than that. But anyways, Jen, what I do here is I chat with people about that journey, about how they found their way out, kind of things that tipped you off as to maybe what I believe isn't quite so true. So I kind of like ask people to take us back into those days and then sort of unravel that journey for us and how you found your way out. And then we can get into an after party after that. So some of my other friends can make fun of you. I mean, meet you and
Hey now. I don't know about that. I didn't sign up for that.
No.
Okay. They're going to come in here, say hi to you, love on you, and then insult me for no reason.
Now that I did sign up for. That's what I'm here for.
I'll just be sitting here and they come in the after party, say hi to the guests, and tear me apart. It's okay.
Perfect. I can't wait.
I'm built for this.
Ooh, geez, Deneen, I hope that lung infection goes away. I've had one before, and it's one of the most painful things I've ever experienced.
Oh.
So, yes. Especially when they had to go in through my back and get a sample of it. Holy crap.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that was harsh.
Just give me just give me the old yeller. He was.
I don't know.
He had a good life.
That was like 2010 when that happened to me, and it hasn't come back since. Although my doctor told me there would be scar tissue, and he says that might flare up every once in a while. You might feel a little bit of pain, and it has, but it has nowhere near the amount of pain that I experienced when I first had it. It was brutal. Literally debilitated from it. Couldn't move. If I moved, it was like, fuck. But anyway,
why don't you Jen, just use your other lung, dude. Just use one lung.
Yeah, that's what I say. I've been smoking for 20-something years, and my lung feels great. Anyway, Jen, we'll stop horsing around here so you can actually tell us your story.
Yeah, well, I guess probably the best way to tell it would be chronologically, because that might be the way that makes the most sense.
Okay.
Yeah, just to, I guess, kind of give you a background of what I came out of. I was born on a Friday, and I'm pretty sure that very following Sunday I was in church, and I don't think I missed a single service on Sunday or Wednesday since then. So growing up, it was very much so. Very
Put some diapers on her. We got to go to church.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly that. You know, my parents were very involved in the church. It was a small church, probably 30 to 50 people, depending on the day. So very close-knit community. My parents are very well respected in the community. Mom was a Sunday school teacher and all of that. So growing up, I was very involved. It was kind of the only mindset that I ever even knew existed. I would hear about these atheists, but didn't really know what that meant.
Atheists.
Yeah,
which denomination was the church?
Pentecostal Church of God.
Yes, Neil.
I was the Northwestern Baptist atheist. Is that a thing?
I'm a Reformed atheist. Jen, which one was it? Pentecostal?
It was Pentecostal Church of God. Yeah.
So there's like levels of that one.
Yeah. It was a really fun one. Very intense. thankfully we weren't one of the ones that had to wear like the long skirts and have the long hair all the time, but we were just like one step right underneath that.
Mennonites.
Just for the record, I look much better in a short skirt. But
exactly. Yeah, me too. That's what I think.
With these legs, it's a crime.
For you, it would be. I've seen those chicken legs.
It's a crime to put me in a long skirt.
So growing up, I was very involved, and I think I always had some doubts. Like even as a child, I kind of realized that the things that they were teaching were kind of out there and didn't make sense with the world that I was experiencing. But also as a child, I was like, oh, well, this happened, however many years ago. So the world must have been different there. And, everyone's always talking about faith, and you just have to have faith and just don't ask too many questions and just believe it. Exactly. Questions are terrible. I don't know why we need them. And so that was pretty much all of my early childhood. And then whenever I became a preteen, you start to think a little bit more. You start to learn a little bit more. And I started experiencing a lot of anxiety over multiple things that religion taught me, especially, the fear of hell and just the fear of the afterlife in general. Because I remember growing up and being a kid, and you hear like, oh, well, if you say a naughty word, you're going to go to hell. Or if you tell a little white lie about eating 3 cookies instead of 2, like you're going to go to hell. And that would really plague you.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah, absolutely bad shit. I can't believe we tell children.
To be fair, cookies are really fucking good. Like, that is not fair to any child. You can't hold them accountable for that. They love those things.
Yeah, it's not fair to any human being. Me right now, as an adult, I would lie about how many cookies I would eat.
Have these people
I only had 2.
2 handfuls. That's it.
2 cases.
We had 2 boxes.
So I remember being a kid and being worried about that, but you don't really have the wherewithal to really conceptualize hell until you're about a preteen. And whenever I started thinking about it more, I was just plagued with all this anxiety and paranoia of, God is always watching you and he knows every single thing that you do. And so my life.
Gotta put tinfoil up on your windows and stuff.
Absolutely terrifying. He knows everything. And so, I
spyware.
Basically, God's spyware.
Really?
I've been hacked. Where's my Lysol wipes? I think that works on the computer.
Get rid of those God germs.
And so after a while of being paralyzed by the fear of hell and just wanting to do everything to avoid that, I then started realizing heaven also doesn't sound that great. I go to church every Sunday and Wednesday, and I have to sit through a service and sing bad worship songs. And the thought of doing that for eternity, even worse. I was
forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, I was like, I would rather just not exist at all. Like, why did I have to be here?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if you're trapped in heaven, and they're making you sing those old hymnals, what would be the worst one that like Joy to the World or something like?
Oh.
Like what would be the worst thing to sing for eternity?
There are just so many really, really bad ones. But I think the one that I grew up having to listen to on repeat because it was my mom's favorite was the Our God is an Awesome God. And that haunts me in my dreams. I'll be flying through the air in my dreams and I'll just hear that as a soundtrack to my life. So I don't know.
Nike.
That is the correct answer. I cannot think of anything worse than having. Oh, I have goosebumps.
I'm glad I could give that to you.
You've terrified me forever.
Good.
I don't even think I know. I think I've heard the song. Maybe I don't know.
Oh well, I know what you're doing immediately after this.
There's no way you've missed this one, man. This is like Usher's "Yeah, Big." Like
yeah. Highly recommend. Just
No
a quick
thanks.
Google search afterwards.
No
If
thanks.
you want to be haunted like we are.
I'd much rather listen to fucking roly-poly fish heads on nonstop for 24 hours. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Eat them up, yum.
I think I might agree.
I like that song.
Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads. Anyway. Or Baby Shark. I'll listen to that one on fuck. No, forget it. No,
Oh my
why did
God,
I even say that?
Put them together.
That's it.
Ultimate
Show's
Man.
over, people.
I think that one's worse. I think that one might beat out Our God is an Awesome God. Just by like a smidge, but that might beat it out.
So when you were younger, like, did you ever look around and be like, oh, that person is going to heaven? Like, did you think anybody could make it? Or was it you were feeling like I was just you were failing at it?
You know, it was kind of a mix because I was kind of a shitty person as a toddler too, like very like holier than thou. Like I am a great Christian and everyone else sucks at being a Christian. So I was one of those kind, but at the same time, I was also someone who just couldn't even conceptualize people going to hell. So I just imagined that on your deathbed, every single person on the planet just said like a quick, like, sorry for my sins, like, love you, God, and then got shot right up to heaven, except for like Hitler, but everyone else is like fine.
Everybody's good.
When you say shot right up to heaven, this visual went into my head. This is like giant heaven cannon and just throw
exactly.
people in. Like, oh,
that's what I was imagining as well. So I'm glad that transferred.
A slingshot.
Giant trebuchet. Just
it's like whenever you go to the bank and you put those little capsules in the tube.
Oh,
it's like
the
one
pneumatic
of those.
tube. Yes.
Yeah.
Those are kind of cool. So
they are very cool.
Why do I want to equate or make them mix it? Fuck that shit.
Miss, I forgot a pen. I'm so sorry. Can you send it back? I don't...
Just do back and forth just to see it go.
Oh, there's no ink in this one.
Send me all of your pins. So after I kind of had the realization that either afterlife is terrible, I started experiencing a lot of anxiety attacks. I remember having one that was particularly terrible in the middle of the night, so bad that my mom came running in from her room. She was trying to figure out what's going on and trying to calm me down. And I just remember thinking, well, I can't tell her that it's because like our religion has scared me. And I can't tell her that it's because heaven sounds terrible to me. Because what's worse to hear from your 13-year-old like religious daughter than that they don't want to go to heaven? So I remember just having to kind of hold all that stuff inside. And as I turned about 15, 16, I decided like, all right, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. We're going to go all in on this religion stuff. We're going to do every single thing that we can. We're going to read the Bible. We're going to pray every night. We're going to do all the things and just see how it goes. See if going all in kind of alleviates those doubts.
Right.
So there was a good couple of years where I became a worship leader. I rocked out to God is an Awesome God every single Sunday. I became a Sunday school teacher. I was doing everything that I possibly could. And yet I still had these doubts. And then I turned 18 and I got a scholarship to go to college about 2 hours away from my hometown. So, go ahead.
Would you say that even though you got more and more into it, it really didn't improve your faith at all?
No, it was basically like a fake it till you make it type situation. Like if you go through the motions enough, then soon it'll start to settle in. And if you do it every single day, then you can trick yourself. You can trick yourself mentally to kind of saying like, okay, this is real. This is my life. This is just who I am as a person. But I didn't realize that I was doing that to myself. For me and my perspective at the time, it was like, this is just what all Christians feel. This is the whole point of having faith is you have all these doubts, you have all these questions, you don't think it actually fits and it feels right, but you blame it all on faith and you just go with it. And I just thought that that's what Christianity was. And so I went off to college and freshman year was a breeze, kept my faith. I had a nice little church group at the college. That was great. And then sophomore year happened. And there was this thing in sophomore year that I tried, and it was called weed. And
oh no, the devil's lettuce.
Honestly,
I can't believe you.
I know.
Oh.
Shame on me. But the thing that really happened is I've been terrified of alcohol, of weed, of all of that stuff, right? And I had always been taught, weed, if you're doing weed, you're doing heroin. Like, it's the same thing. There's no difference. And so
got the hardest drug out there.
Exactly.
Weed,
yeah.
coke, meth, like what?
It's all the same. And so
Drug's a drug.
I tried it for the first time, absolutely terrified. But I was like, it's
died.
college. That's what you're supposed to do. And I died. And now I'm
Yes.
talking to you here as a ghost. This
Yes.
is proof of the paranormal. Call James Randi. This is it.
We got ourselves a winner.
Wait, what?
We just won $100,000 or whatever that prize is.
I think it was more than that. I think it was quite a bit.
Is it $1 million?
I think so. I think it was.
Are we millionaires?
We might
what?
be.
You talking about? What are you talking about? The
James Randi Foundation.
yeah, it was $1 million.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think he started
You're
out.
welcome.
It was 100,000, or I think, and then he went up to $1 million.
Yeah.
I think
We
it's
can
not.
split it
You
three
can't do it
ways.
anymore. They don't do it anymore, by the way.
Ah, dang it.
Oh, poor again. Damn it.
It's a couple years late. So
All right, I just took my pill already.
You're good. So I tried weed, and it was as good as a first experience with weed can be. I mean, a little bit terrifying because you're feeling ways that you never felt before, feeling like you were like trapped in a dream. So, but
Why is everybody looking at me?
Then I came down, and over the next few days, I was thinking, everything that I had been taught about this one thing hasn't been true. I just tried it out. I was always told if I try this, I'm going to die. I'm going to want to do meth next and do heroin next, all these different things. I was like, that's not what happened. That's not true.
No.
These people who gave it to me, they weren't like scum of the earth, like drug dealers behind a dumpster.
So
like,
nothing at all like me or
in a
Mike.
trench.
Yeah.
Some guy in like a big trench coat, like,
Yeah.
buy some weed.
Yeah.
By the letter S.
It was
Yeah.
me and some other straight A honor students. So I was like, no, that's not at all what it is. So,
The less high strung kid.
so that was really as silly as it is, a big catalyst. And like these, like I have been lied to. Might have been about something that's small, and just like something that no one probably ever expected would impact you so much. But I was like, okay, well, if this isn't true, then maybe I can start thinking about some other things.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's a gateway drug.
it was the gateway drug for me. It really was.
Gateway to awesomeness.
It was.
They were right.
I make that joke all the time. So after experimenting with that a little bit, and I started looking at other things, and I started thinking about, my beliefs, and about how I definitely was reading stuff in the Bible that didn't make sense. Like, even if I was going to say, okay, maybe the God that they're talking about is true, the Bible itself certainly isn't. Like, it was written by man. It's got some stuff in it that is just not true. I love that. Gateway to the refrigerator.
Yeah.
So I started talking to some friends that I knew weren't religious, and it really opened up a floodgate, because I thought it was going to be just a simple conversation of, hey man, like I'm religious, but I'm thinking about things. What is your opinion? It turns out they were so against religion. They were like, man, fuck that noise. It is so terrible, so awful. They started turning me on to like all of this atheist, can't even think of the word now, atheist media, podcast shows. Atheist cantaloupes.
Damn atheists, atheist cantaloupes. They're everywhere.
There was a small percentage that was the word she was looking for, and if that was it, that would have been awesome.
It wasn't a 0% chance, so
exactly non-0% chance of that happening.
Exactly. And one of the shows that I got hooked on pretty quickly was this podcast called The Scathing Atheist. And
yes.
Yeah. So for a lot of people, that's not really the best first atheist podcast to listen to. They can be a little harsh. They can be very to the point. And it's not as much so about, having all these rational conversations and philosophical arguments. It's more about they're just going to tell you how it is and their perception of things. And that really started working on me. I started listening to all of the terrible things that religion is causing. And through college, I'd never heard of the term feminist before being raised. I'd never heard of it. It just wasn't a thing. And also raised so heavily in purity culture. And so I started learning about purity culture and how religion treats women. And I started looking, I was like, you know what? They're right. Like, how could I have been subscribed to something that treats me as a woman, as someone who's lesser than? And, I was even raised remembering the pastor and my parents being like, first there's God, top tier. Then there's the man of the house, your father, whoever. Underneath that is women and children. Women and children are the same. There's no differentiation, at least in the way that I was raised. It was God, men, women, and children. And so I started thinking about that and just started thinking about how just fucked up that was and how I didn't want to be a part of it. And so I think that was around the time that I dropped Christianity. I still believed in a God. I still believed there was something. I called myself spiritual. But I was like, this Christianity stuff, this isn't it. And I, at the time, was also in, it's not it. At the time, I was also in a comparative religion course. So it was really perfect timing.
That must have opened your eyes to some stuff too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was like an IKEA catalog of religion. It was like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh. Especially because, being raised, you're not encouraged to look at other religions, at least not deeply. Right. Like you can talk about them. You can talk about them on a surface level, but
you can make fun of them.
Yeah, you'll never go into them. And so whenever you start going into them, you just start seeing all these trends and all these patterns, and it starts you down a million thought processes all at once, and you're just trying to sparse them out. And I remember at the beginning, so this professor had us do something where at the beginning of the class, you wrote an essay about your views, your feelings on religion and stuff. And he said, this is the only time in this class that you're going to be allowed to talk about your religion and your views and how you feel. We're using this essay as a way to see your growth on how you view your religion and others. So whenever I wrote the first one, it was all about spirituality and having believing in a God, but not thinking that it was anything specific and all these different things. Towards the end, my essay aligned more with secular humanism, which at the time I still hadn't really heard about, but later on finding out that there's actually a word for that, for that thought process. But in my essay, you were supposed to talk about your religious views now or your spiritual views now. And if it didn't have a name, if it wasn't any part of religion, you're supposed to name it yourself. So I named mine elevationism, which is just always elevating yourself to be a better human being and encouraging others to always do that as well, and just caring about your fellow person. So altogether, you can become better. So just over that course of the semester, I could really see just in those two papers, me kind of going away from the supernatural part, and still probably believed in some supernatural stuff and a connectivity of human beings and an overall like greater good. But that was definitely part of the process. And I think it was that summer where I started to fully drop my beliefs. I started to fully say like, you know what? I don't have any evidence for anything supernatural. I don't have any evidence for any like vibes or any connectivity. Because, you know, for a while I looked into like the witchy woo. And that was a very fast phase. I was like, there's absolutely nothing to support this. Like, there's not even a book. There's not anything to go off of for this one. So
Not
I was
the
able to drop
witchy
that one.
woo.
The witchy woo. It gets everyone. So that was
I
kind
like
of
Bewitched.
Bewitched was great. So that was kind of my process out. I mean, really, it took about a semester of college all at once. So it went weed, comparative religion, and then out. So,
It's a nice road trip right there.
That
Yeah,
damn
it was
devil's
pretty
lettuce does it
wonderful.
every time.
yeah. So yeah, by
Satan
the
wins
end of
again.
sophomore year. By the end of sophomore year, I was pretty out. And then I came back as a junior and started a secular student alliance on campus and got really into atheist activism and had a booth setting up in the lobby of our main hall just for like Ask an Atheist Day, for any event that I could, just to be sitting down and to have people ask questions. And, you know, it was still really shocking whenever at a college, the question that I got most was, why are there still monkeys? And it was,
Gotta
it
love
was
that
really,
one, right?
oh yeah, it was really great to just be like, you can just like walk down the hall and talk to this professor, and I'm sure they'd love to tell you why they're still monkeys.
They're at a college. Never mind.
At a college.
They graduated and then got accepted to a college. And you, all right. We're doomed.
And you know what was even better is it a lot of times it wasn't the young, you know, 18 to 22-year-olds that were coming up and asking those questions or trying to provoke. It was normally the non-traditional students, at least that I saw. It was normally the ones who were going back to college in their 30s and in their 40s. Those were the ones who were normally coming up and asking the why are there still monkeys questions. So yeah, it was always really fun to be a 19, 20-year-old debating with a 45-year-old about why monkeys exist.
Right. It's like, how did I get this before you did?
Yeah.
You had a long.
And I'm an English major. I'm not even in science. I'm an English major. I read books to get my degree.
You had a 23-year head start on me. What gives?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm at Ollie's house now.
I love it. It's a nice change of pace.
Oh, he's gone sentient.
Wait, what? No.
He'll have a green screen in a minute, and then no one's background is safe.
I haven't put mine up yet.
I was gonna say, like, so what's? I don't want to spoil the story because you kind of gotta like storyboard it already, so I don't want to screw it up. But I'm like, how's your relationship with do you have siblings? Like, are they cool?
Yeah, so I have a brother. He was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he still is because I'm not looking at the chat. But I have a brother. He's 7 years older than me. And he's also he tells himself.
So wait a minute. So your brother's 7 years older than you?
Yes.
So was your mom just like, get the hell away from me for 7 years?
Well, depends on who you ask.
To your dad, I mean.
Depends on who you ask.
Get away. That's enough. Damn it. I
Yeah.
let go one time and now we got two.
I was a randomly placed baby as well.
I was an accident, so
there's a 7-year gap between one sister and 10 on the other sister. I was like,
oh man.
Oh no, you wanted one to be old enough so that you didn't have to chase him all the time. And then you were just like, oh yeah, fuck him. And then
we'll just have another. Yeah. So my brother, he had a slightly different experience than I did. He started deconverting much younger than me. I think he was still a teenager whenever he started deconverting. It did cause quite a few issues in the home, because my parents, as I mentioned before, they were very involved in the church, and it just was not acceptable to have someone who was an atheist in the household, or an agnostic, or even questioning their beliefs. And so he moved out of the house as soon as he turned 18. And I was 7 years older than me, so I was 11 at the time. And so, all I was seeing of the situation was my parents' perspective on it and what they told you. Because whenever you're that young, you don't see things for how they are. You look for your parents, and you have them tell you kind of what's going on and explain things. So
Especially if you don't understand it.
Exactly. And so I definitely had a skewed vision of what all happened in the home and why things started to go so negatively. And even to a point where whenever I started questioning my beliefs, thinking like, oh man, like, am I going to be like my brother? Still having that skewed perception of like, oh, well, he's an atheist, or he's an agnostic, and he doesn't believe the way we believe. That must be bad. Am I going to be like him now? Which, Bub, if you're watching, you're great. Not to say that you're not, but
I haven't seen him post anything yet. So
it's all right.
he was here very early, and then he said, "Oh, I'll be back," and he still hasn't come back. So
might be just listening.
Okay.
Yeah, that's possible.
But to kind of put an end to the chronology, and then we can go back to the family effects if we'd like. For my senior year, I had to write a capstone or like a thesis paper, and it was supposed to be 30 to 35 pages of like research work, and then about 15 to 25 pages of personal background, your journey over college, everything like that. So actually, I brought mine here so I could remember the title of it, because I definitely didn't. But I called it More Than Thoughts and Prayers, a literary exploration of harmful religious beliefs. Because at that point, I was just so overwhelmed with how much harm religion had done just in general all over the world. But also to me in my life, and how many things wouldn't have happened in my life if I hadn't have been religious, and how many different experiences I would have had if I hadn't been religious. And for a while, I was really carrying on to this bitterness, and just so upset about this. Like, I didn't choose to be raised in a religious household. I know that my parents did the best that they can, and they believed that it was true. And so that's no fault on them, but I think it's important to really recognize what indoctrination can really do, and how terrible that can affect people.
Yeah. Do you think that do you feel like there's anything you probably missed out on because of it that you kind of want to try to do?
Oh man, things I want to try to do. Well, I think I've already tried them at this point. The things that I missed out on.
Like movies you weren't allowed to watch, TV you weren't allowed to watch,
so I wasn't
music you weren't allowed to listen to, that kind of stuff.
So Harry Potter.
I was about to say, she was like Harry Potter 1 through 7, baby. Here we go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but fuck J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, fuck her. No.
Yeah.
But Harry Potter was a big one. It was huge, and then Twilight as well. So I remember really being, it was all the rage whenever I was in like high school and maybe even middle school. And I remember my friend being like, I can sneak these to you, and you can read them while you're here at school. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. I would love to. But then I went to a super small school. Like, my graduating class was 30 people, and we were pretty big for my school. And I also lived directly behind my school. So my mom just knew everyone there. And I'm a very just like guilt-ridden person. If I do something wrong, I'm just going to tell you about it.
You just-
As a teenager, I used to ground myself. I used to go in and hand my parents my phone and my laptop and be like, I don't want to tell you what I did because you'll be disappointed. I'm grounding myself. Keep these for 2 weeks.
Oh my.
I always grind
goodness.
myself.
Ground.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I just couldn't handle it. And so, yeah, my teacher caught me reading Twilight at school and could immediately tell that I wasn't allowed to read it. And things didn't go well from there. So I still haven't read them, but I have now seen the movies, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, Batman's in it.
Farron, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to bleach your tongue now. Sorry about that, buddy. What if he's like a snake and he has to use it just to get a feel for the atmosphere?
Get a snorkel
What?
I don't know how that's gonna help.
for his tongue. He could put it. Whatever.
I don't know about that.
No. No snakes.
So Denise says that you remind her of her daughter. So.
Oh, well, hopefully that's a compliment. I don't know.
Oh, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Stacey's cool.
Wonderful.
Cool peeps. So we're in
One of
college. Oh, go ahead, Neil.
So I was going to say one of the local atheists of my neck of the woods.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
In Narnia.
Narnia.
Yeah. So I was in college and I wrote my thesis paper, and it actually went over really well. You know, I'm from Oklahoma. I don't know if I said that earlier, but it's a very Bible Belt area. And so writing a thesis about how religion is harmful, I was ready to fail. I was ready for them to tell me a lot of negative things and to not have my thesis accepted. And I was ready to fight that because I was going to say that was bullshit. But
He was ready to go.
I was looking for a fight.
Yeah. He's juiced up.
But after you do your thesis, you have to present it and you have to talk about it and you have to be open to questions. And I would say most of the panel of professors were very accepting and asked me relevant questions. There was definitely a professor who you could tell was coming at it from a way of they just wanted to defend their religion and they just wanted to defend their viewpoints, and they didn't really care about the thesis at all, just about the fact that I was insulting what they believed in. But even after all that, I did get an award for most distinguished capstone, which was pretty exciting. After thinking that I was going to fail and I was going to have to fight people for it, they gave me an award for it. So it's a nice little turnaround.
They're going to expel me. I'm ready for it.
It was like, I'm not even going to get my diploma.
No, here's an award. What are you talking about? Oh, I knew that.
Yeah, I was like, wow, thanks.
Put my bags back down.
But unfortunately, this did all happen in May of 2020. So it was right after COVID hit. Everything was actually done via Zoom. And I was back home. I was not in my college. So while I was actually handling the panel, I was in my very religious household in a bedroom with the door closed, just fingers crossed that my parents weren't going to walk by the door and hear me talking about how terrible religion could be.
Oh my.
It was absolutely terrifying. My heart was racing the whole time.
You read your thesis with your religious parents in the other room?
Oh yeah, right next door. I don't think they heard it.
Jen is a daredevil.
Well, it was either that or fail and not getting my diploma, and I wasn't going back and doing it all over.
I'll have none of that.
Y'all just gonna have to be mad at me.
Put your earmuffs on, parents.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Shit you don't want
Why
to
don't you go? Here's $20. Why don't you kids go see a movie?
Yeah, I was like, you guys can turn the TV up really loud. It's fine. So yeah, and I graduated in the midst of the pandemic. You know, we canceled the graduation ceremony and all of the stuff. So graduating wasn't Yeah, it wasn't a huge deal. It was just like me sitting at home and being like, well, that was my last class, so that's cool, I guess.
Let me just log out real quick.
Yeah. And then it
Grab
was
some garbage and pretend it's confetti. Woo!
basically, yeah.
Throw your payments in the air.
And so I was back living with my parents. I had gone through all these changes in college. And then and while I was in college, even during the summer, I didn't go back home. My parents and we didn't have a bad relationship. I just knew that I didn't want to be back in such a controlled environment.
You're not closeted still, though, right? Your parents? No.
Well, no. Very, very recently, no. Which we can get into that real quick. So, I have a fiance, and he is from India, and he is an atheist. And we got together in 2020. And I found out not too long ago that my mom believes that he made me an atheist. In reality, I was only swiping on people who were atheists. Like if you were religious in any sort of way, I was swiping left. So it was really me who caused that to happen. But it had always been, and I only found this out because she told my brother that, and then my brother told me. So for years, I was so afraid of my parents finding out. I didn't know what the reaction was going to be. And so then whenever I found out, like, oh, they know and nothing has really happened, I kind of felt this relief. I was like, oh, okay. So maybe it's not going to be this huge issue. And then last week,
plot twist.
Last week it became an issue. Just last week it became an issue. So my mother, it's Pride Month, and my parents are very religious, and they're not super supportive of Pride. And
if they are at all.
Yeah. So while they do know that I'm an atheist, they don't know that I'm bisexual. So, and then we have other family members and friends who are also part of the LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. And my mother shared something on Facebook that was pretty hateful to the LGBTQ community. It was along the lines of to have some straight pride, or let's celebrate straight pride. It's natural, and you can make babies that way, and it's worked for hundreds of years.
Wow.
So
grown.
Yeah.
You can make babies that way. We all know how babies are made. Thanks very much. Yeah. I can make one in a laboratory if you want.
And also, people in the LGBTQ community can very easily make babies. I know many, many people in the LGBTQ community who have made, of course, beautiful babies.
Neil, how long have you been cloning people? I'm not going to let you just walk away from that.
Oh, shit. I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. Never mind.
We'll talk later.
That's for the after party.
Hell of an after party this is going to be. It's going to be just popping out babies all over the place here. I don't have my chemistry set with me yet. So
we could make clones of us, and then they could do the after parties, and we can go to bed early.
Perfect.
Oh, getting some love.
Oh, thank you. So my brother, he's a little bit more confrontational than I am. Storks, exactly. It works for
obviously. There was a movie about a documentary. I mean,
a documentary, animated documentary.
Yes,
very accurate. So my mom shared this post, and my brother, he's a little bit more confrontational than I am. My brother was also in a polyamorous relationship for a little while, and so these issues are just very near and dear to his heart. And so he decided to say something about it. And a couple of days later, after they had their interaction on Facebook, my mom messaged me and asked me if me and my fiance hated her, which started a whole conversation of, no, I don't hate you. What you did post is disrespectful. What you did post is hateful. I don't support what you posted, but I don't hate you for it. I just think that you're wrong.
Right.
the whole time I was very respectful. I knew that it could go bad any moment. And if it did go bad, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't because of me. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have blame in the reason why it went bad. And towards the end of the conversation, whenever I thought it was coming to the end, all I said was, you knew that you had friends and family who were in the LGBTQ community, and you posted it anyways, knowing that they would see it and knowing that it could hurt them. And all I'm saying is, in the future, maybe before you share something, you should think, who is this post going to hurt? And that opened a floodgate for her to say that I hurt her, because I am no longer the person that she raised. And just my existence and being who I am hurts her. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of the most recent update of how the relationship with my parents has been since being an atheist is I now know that my existence hurts them. And then we just talked about, when they're visiting next. So
the only real reason that hurts them, because I highly doubt that they're really feeling hurt by it, is because their minds have been twisted by a fucking indoctrination that's full of nonsense.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
If they hadn't followed that stuff, I'll guarantee you that they wouldn't be hurt by you being who you are.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what really got me at the time whenever it happened. It was a very emotional moment for me, because I had always had a very good relationship with my parents, both of them. And I was always very close to my mom. Even whenever we disagreed, she was someone that I could talk to about things that we disagreed on and still maintain a level of respect. Our conversations didn't get heated. And if they did, we recognized it and kind of backed down to put the conversation away.
Yeah.
And so it was really just kind of out of left field and so surprising that she would say it so directly to me. Especially, I'm a good person. I do everything that I can to maintain the values of humanism, which in my view makes me a good person.
Sure does.
To the best of my ability. And so to know that, I know that I'm a good person, and that's not enough. For a while that was really hard to handle. But I think now I've kind of moved on to the point where I know that it's her beliefs that are most upsetting, most upset by it. Maybe not her, but more so her beliefs and what she believes in. And for that, I kind of have sympathy, because I remember whenever I believed all that stuff. And I remember whenever I thought atheists were evil and bad.
Oh, we totally are. Totally.
Yeah, we're all terrible. And so there's a part of me that has that sympathy and knows that it's difficult.
Oh no. Oh no. Trouble just arrived.
Oh, I love him.
There goes the neighborhood.
That's good old student Dr. Man.
All right, Ollie, enough.
I don't even think Ollie's in the chat, to be honest. He may be, I don't know.
Triple coins in.
Oh, it's Ollie. Yep. Triple coins time. I guess he was. You were right. Are you like Nostradamus or something, man? You know that.
I am.
See that.
I am indeed.
The doctor is in. C-Truth is in the chat too, and we met at Better. And I have Mr. C-Truth scheduled for July 9th. So there you go. Yeah.
I think it's super. I think it's super healthy the way that you're describing that, where you're like, your mom, because I kind of felt the same way about my mom, because I'm raised by a single mom, and she was very fundamentalist Christian, and I can't really be mad at her, because I think she was just trying her best.
Yeah.
Like even if it hurts my feelings sometimes, I know that she just literally doesn't know any better.
Right.
And the world is scary, and she needs that.
Yeah, and I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, even whenever it's difficult for me to do so. And so I think if I can do that for, random strangers that I see, like I should at least be able to do that for my mom, even though it's a little bit more hurtful whenever it's someone so close to you who's saying those things. You still got to remember. What has my dad said? Nothing. Actually, while me and my mom were having this conversation, he was texting my fiance about like food or something, like something very mundane. So, I mean, I'm sure he has thoughts and feelings on it. I mean, of course. Yeah, one of the fun conversations that he's had with my fiance is so I was stung, I think it was 8 times by a scorpion whenever I was like 3 or 4.
What?
Yeah, and I was rushed to the hospital. They weren't sure if I was going to make it. All these different things, and
after 8 hits, I guess.
Yeah, my dad.
You left that part out when you were doing young stuff. The scorpion
I'm trying to only
attack.
leave in the relevance. But my dad apparently was praying a lot about it whenever they were rushing me to the hospital, and then obviously I survived and I'm fine. And my father told my fiance that is one of the biggest reasons why he still believes in God, is because he believes that God saved my life rather than
no, it was medicine and doctors that fucking did that. What?
Yeah. God created doctors.
Where was God to stop the scorpion from the fucking first place?
God created scorpions, and then the doctors, because they're going to have to heal people from the scorpions, and then her.
Well, it gets better, guys. So I also
wait. I mean that's got to be sarcasm.
Oh well, yeah. So
better, yeah.
Wolverine attack.
Well, it depends on your viewpoint. I also just found out about a month ago that my parents, so they've gotten a little bit better with their extreme beliefs. Their beliefs aren't always as extreme anymore. But my brother was deconverting at the time. And of course that means that he was of the devil. And
of course,
my brother told me that my parents thought that my brother brought the scorpions into the house, like metaphysically, like supernaturally brought the scorpion into the house.
Clearly.
To attack me. So it was basically the devil working through my brother to try and take me out.
It was Dungeons and Dragons.
I wasn't allowed to play that either. I know. I really missed out.
Oh, shit.
Man.
Hellbound Hillbilly says that scorpion rocked her like a hurricane.
It did. All I really remember is having to drink this huge glass of what they told me was just green goop, which I know sounds very like medically professional. But I drank this like green goop that was supposed to like numb you as you started to drink it. That's what I think. That's what they told me. I believe them.
Just go to the drugstore. Guys, excuse me, Mr. Pharmacist. Can I get some green goop? Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Are you stung by a scorpion?
I've been looking for it my whole life. It was good.
You need the 5 milligram or the 10?
15.
I like your style.
That's right.
I gotta let this dog out of here, or else he's gonna keep doing this. Sorry.
Yeah, I keep accidentally kicking my cat because she's taking a nap underneath me.
So I like green. Yeah. It's people. You're eating people. What? Oh.
Maybe.
Gross. Well, I don't know. Babies are tasty, right? We eat babies.
Oh, yeah. My favorite meal, I had them for lunch.
That's what else I put in here. No, I'm just kidding.
Only half kidding. You just don't use that. You have a bigger one for it.
I'm only joking.
Right.
Yeah, no, I got a Cuisinart.
It's the best way to do it.
Is Zero being a dick, Maggie?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what his problem is. He's begging and screaming and crying to go out there so he can come back in here, but I have to keep the door closed because I'm loud. I'll be back. It's his damn dog, man. Free to a good home.
He's just fucking with you. totally
Jerk dog.
fine. So Wes was saying in the chat, and hopefully someday this might happen for you, but his mom came out as agnostic. And the relationship seems to have gotten better, but the wife is still Christian and can't say things in front of her. Well, you can, Wes, you big coward.
There are just consequences to that.
Yeah, I understand. I'm only teasing you, but I understand that you got to keep the maelstrom from forming if you ask or say the wrong things, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely thought about a life in which my parents, even if just one of them were to start changing their mindsets, but to me, most of the time it's not an overnight process. No, normally you have to start letting things go a little bit at a time. And while they have let go of some of their more extreme viewpoints, for example, they used to think that people with tattoos were terrible. And then I got like a lot of tattoos and they were like, okay, well, I guess they're not that bad. So yeah, very, very, very slowly, letting go. But my parents are in their 60s now. And while I would love to think that that's possible, I think there's just so many steps that they would have to take. That while they might get less and less and less fundamentalist, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to let it go fully. You can always hope, but much like me saying atheist cantaloupes, it wasn't a 0% chance, but it's still pretty small.
Fair enough. You can never say never, but
You just
I understand that some people just reach an age where they don't even want to try anymore. This is what I believe. Fuck you, and that's it.
Right. And I remember having a conversation. Oh, go ahead.
No, they just sit around. Fuck you, I'm old.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't have to care about any of this.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, and it's also one of those things where whenever you're from a small town, the church is all your entire community. I mean, I don't know many people that my parents know that are outside of their church. And so if they were to leave the church, that's everyone they know. They're both retired. They're both just at home all the time, other than whenever they go to church. So if they don't do that, then that takes a large part of who they are. And even whenever I've talked to them, this is whenever I was still, spiritual, but not religious. I would talk to them about things in the Bible that I didn't necessarily think were true, or things in the Bible, or things that Christians say are in the Bible that aren't in the Bible, and all of these things. And while they could concede points and say, oh, okay, well, maybe you're right on this, or maybe you're right on that, it always still comes back to, well, I don't really care. I have faith. And so it seemed like no matter how many rational arguments I would put out, or, thought process I would lay on the table, they can concede all of that. But then as soon as that conversation's over, it never happened, and it's right back to, but it's all about faith.
Right.
If you could go back in time, Jen, and talk to your younger self, what do you think would be the first thing you'd tell yourself? Get out now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it would be just to be more skeptical. And initially I wanted to say to not be as trusting, but that sounds more negative. But to be more skeptical.
Trust no one.
Exactly. But it kind of is, and I don't know if this is the same for every child out there, but for me, I fully believed and trusted every single thing that my parents said.
Of course, you didn't know otherwise.
I would never doubt them. And really same with like everyone in the church and everyone that my parents trusted, it's just, well, these are adults. They know better than I am. And I just shouldn't even think about it. I should just trust it. Even if it doesn't feel right, even if I have questions, even if it's terrifying to think about, you just got to trust them and go with it. So probably just to be more skeptical and ask questions. I think even if I were raised in the exact same household and all the same things happened, if I were to just have the confidence to just ask people questions, not just my parents, but people that I met and relationships that I had, both romantic and friendships and all of these things, if I would just ask people questions, I think the entire trajectory would have been so different.
Fair enough. Well, Jen, we've gone the hour.
We did it.
Literally, when you finished when you finished your last sentence, it hit the hour. Like, wow, that's how's that?
We started on time and we're ending on time. So
right.
I do what I can.
Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is how it's done.
Come on, Sea Truth. You're supposed to save that for the show, man. Come on. I'm kidding. But Jen, I want to thank you for joining us for the hour. It's been great to get to know you a little bit and hear your story.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed getting to meet you both.
Well, our pleasure. Maybe next year we can meet in person at one of the events. You never know.
Oh, I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping so.
It better not be in Oklahoma because I ain't getting stung by no damn scorpion.
They're everywhere. I'm telling you, all over the place. There.
We have them in Canada, Mikey. Come on.
Now that
scorpions here.
Now that I know that, Oklahoma is on my permanent do not enter state. I'm never going there. They got scorpions over there.
I mean, it really should have been a do not enter state to begin with. It's a sad state. I mean, they have Seth Andrews, but that's really all they got.
They're really their only redeeming factor.
I guess Forrest Valkyrie is there too, and he's pretty cool.
Forrest is cool too. I've still got a range to get him on here too.
We'll just export some of our friends, and then just put up a fence.
Yeah, I got to tell you,
that'd be great.
Caution tape.
Yes, we have scorpions in Canada. I think there's 3 or 4 different species of scorpion here. They're most of them.
Oh, that's nothing.
I know, but
there's 3 stuck in the grill of my car today. It's too cold up here for us.
Well, Ollie says there's no scorpions in Prince Edward Island. I don't know about that, Ollie, but they do have lobsters.
I was about to say, can scorpions swim?
Yeah, citation needed on that scorpion fact.
For a bit, maybe for a bit.
They just flip upside down and go crazy, like a manta ray.
Yeah. Oh, well, they definitely can't swim actually, because we had a pool in our backyard, and every year, whenever we opened it, there would just be dead scorpions all on the bottom. You just have to fish them out. So,
yikes.
Yeah, there's that for you, Mikey. I hope you that little tidbit.
Nipple syrup, scorpions of death.
Oh my God.
All right.
How bad would it be to be in that pool water with the tarp on with the dead scorpions in the water?
Well, of course they're dead. If they can't get out of the pool, then they're going to die. They're going to drown.
It's even worse whenever you miss cleaning one out of the pool and then you're just swimming and then you get jump scared by a scorpion corpse just floating in the water.
Its little tail is just coming like Jaws.
It's real rough.
Great. All right. Well, we're going to get into an after party now, guys. If you guys out there would like to join us for the after party, you know what to do. You can get a hold of me or Mikey through some form of media, and we'll get you a link and you can jump in here. Thank you guys out there in the chat for hanging out with us. It's always great to have you guys here so we can interact with you and stuff like that. Also, thanks to my wonderful patrons. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate everything you do for the show. We got a couple new patrons, actually. Deneen Murphy became a patron.
Hey, thank you, Deneen.
My highest tier, the big whopping $7 too. So that's pretty cool.
Hey,
thank you, Deneen, for that. And somebody just somebody just went from $1 to $2, so that was Jay. So that's awesome too. Thank you so much. All you guys are great. No, don't give a link to Paul. Fuck you. He comes in here every chat and calls us fuckers. Screw you, Paul.
Every time.
All right, we'll send you one. Anyways, link to the after party is in the description box below. Also, you can follow Jen on Twitter. I have a link to Jen's Twitter below, so you can stalk her. I mean, follow her there and be nice, people. You only have 7 followers, so we got to up that. We got to get you at least up to the 100 mark at some point. We'll make it happen one way or another. We'll make it happen. Just tell all your friends. Tell the whole bunch. All right, there you go.
We're gonna get you trending.
Do you guys even have? Do you guys even have zoodles in the U.S.?
I've never even heard of that.
No, zoodles. They're like animal-shaped noodles, like alphagetti, but they're made of animal shapes.
You know what? You just keep telling me things that make me want to move to Canada more and more.
Wait, you guys don't even have alphagetti? What?
You're making that up.
No, look it up. Zoodles. It was an old commercial. Tell all your friends, tell the whole bunch. I just had a hippopotamus for lunch. You never heard it? No?
What?
Okay, never mind.
I mean, if that was improv.
Mikey, you're fucking with me because I can see that That face right there is I'm fucking with you, face.
I'm not fucking with you. What zoodles are zucchini noodles.
Yeah,
That's what I thought
that
you were
I'm
talking
familiar
about.
with.
But you're talking about like a. Does it come in a can? I'm guessing.
Yep. Like
So
you know,
like a
Chef
red
Boyardee
sauce.
stuff.
So they're like
alphabet
noodles,
soup.
like alphabet soup.
Yep. Hang on. I'll show you. Fucking.
I mean, that was genuine shock. I don't have another. I don't have another face to give you, Neil. All right, I always look like this.
Wow.
What the hell is that?
Look what they're asking for it. $539.
Holy shit.
Is inflation
The
so
reason-
bad up there?
I'm gonna do Shino here. The reason is because they don't make it anymore.
So why would anyone buy? Oh, for the clout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clout.
Zoodles.
It's all about the
Yep.
clout.
Man,
Yep, there you go.
And
The
then-
big picture. Zoodles. Hi, and Zoodles.
I'm surprised Mr. Beast hasn't bought that and then eaten it on stream somewhere. Because that's how much stupid money he gets.
Just gonna give them content ideas.
It's so grotesque.
Oh
But
yeah.
you're saying
Yeah,
zucchini noodles. A bunch of pictures of zucchini noodles popped up too. So there you go.
Yeah, zoodles, man. It's a thing out here.
Mhm.
I'm not eating that shit.
No.
Give me pasta.
Eric says that's $6 Canadian or American.
Approximately.
And a lot of ring ding. Animal crackers in my soup. Lions and tigers. Loop the loop. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Is that
Shirley
the-
Temple.
Is that what she was talking about? Her favorite little zoodles bowl? I don't know.
No, don't worry about it.
Thank you.
All right, let's get out of here, guys. We're going to get a bit of a break in between the two shows, as you know, and then we'll jump into the after party. And apparently, I'm hiccuping for some reason. So send me a message or Mikey a message via Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and we'll get you linked up. And until then, guys, like I always say at the end of these wonderful interviews, when I have such great guests as Jen here, like the late great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
What's untangled?